Good morning, everybody in the boxing community. Is everybody finished with the oohs and ahs of Devin Haney's performance this past weekend out there in Saudi Arabia versus Brian Oman Jr., in which he became the 3-division world champion, went to the welterweight division, beat Brian Oman Jr.? Is everybody finished with the oohs and ahs? Has everybody decompressed? Has everybody taken their full Sunday, mesmerized about the performance? Woo, yeah. Great. Now that we on Monday morning, let's speak facts. Let's tell the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask y'all a question. Is the magnitude of Devin Haney's win over Brian Oman Jr. is based off the narrative, the negative narrative of Devin the Dream Haney, and the narrative of Brian Oman Jr. being somebody that he isn't, or the magnitude of his win is based off the facts? Who did Devin Haney really beat? Now, I'm not trying to take no win away from Devin the Dream Haney. You already know I had Devin Haney. I picked Devin Haney to whoop Brian Oman Jr.'s behind. He had no chance. Because me, Punch Wrong Boxing, never felt Brian Oman Jr. was not even a great challenger. I always stated for a year and a half, and it's all in my channels and the archives, there's not something that I felt about Brian Oman Jr. after the Devin Haney victory. Brian Oman Jr. is the most manufactured fighter in the sport of boxing. And especially within their contemporaries in that age group or whatever, he's the most manufactured fighter in the sport of boxing. I said this before the Devin Haney fight, leading up to the Devin Haney fight, and after the Devin Haney fight. So at the end of the day, the magnitude of this win, are we going to base it off the narrative, the false narrative of who really Brian Oman Jr. was? Or this is just, are we basing it off the truth? 3-division world champion is good. But the opponent was a nobody that fought nobody. Was a nobody that fought nobody. Didn't have prestige amateur background like that. Didn't have a prestige professional career. Has 17 fighters, 16 to 17 fighters with upside down records. Never fought a gatekeeper, never fought a former world champion, never fought a veteran, a great veteran, a former veteran fighter. Nothing. There was nothing on his resume. There was nothing that told me that Devin Haney was going to have a difficult time. Everything was based on Devin Haney's performance leading up to the fight. Him running around versus Jose Ramirez, in which I stated that even though that he ran around in the 4 criteria of the sport of boxing, for the judges, the licensed judges, not the fans, not the networks, not Turkey Out Shake, not the Tom and Jerry thing. For judges, Devin Haney won 119, 109, 119, 109, 118, 110. Meaning there was a magnificent performance by Devin the Dream Haney, while we all say he was running. PTSD, that's the reason. I said PTSD. At the end of the day, let's keep it real, let's keep it honest. Devin Haney threw 130 plus jabs, in which for the most part of his career, he averaged over 200, right? 200, 190, 180, and over 200 throughout his career. Meaning that he's still not comfortable really throwing that jab. But the great thing about Devin the Dream Haney, he's went back to the drawing board and said, you know what? Lomachenko took away my number one arsenal, and Ryan Garcia took away my counter my jab, meaning that my jab was lacking, and I needed to go to the drawing board and not just depend on my great jab. I gotta perfect another arsenal, and that's going to the body, that's hooking with a hooker and stuff like that, and that's what he did. Yo, but Brian Jr., if he throws the left hook like Ryan Garcia, he gonna put him down. No. Even Ryan Garcia has faced guys like Luke Campbell, like Javier Fortuna, you know what I'm saying? For some dudes with credentials, right? For some dudes with credentials. Even Oscar Duarte's been doing good. It's been aged well, right? Where Devin Haney dropped Brian Oman Jr. in the second round. Let me tell you like this, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Oman Jr. ain't nothing but the same caliber of fighter that Devin Haney beat in 2019, the African guy. Nagadudami, something like that, when Devin Haney was with Floyd Mayweather Sr. And then him and Bill was going at it in the corner, in which Floyd Mayweather Sr. left the corner. Go check that fight out. Go check that opponent. 25-0. I believe he had 18-19 KO. That's who he was fighting, Devin Haney. No different. No different. I said this fight is gonna happen like the Regis Pro Grace. It happened just like that. Because I understand in the sport of in this community, let's be real, let's be honest, a lot of people may watch boxing, a lot of people may base things off highlights, but very few do film study. Very few follow the amateurs. I take my due diligence and follow the amateurs and do film study. That's what I do for the most part. And there's gonna be people out there be like, but you said that Canelo would be Bud Crawford. Well, let me say it like this. What Bud Crawford did, nobody did in the history of the sport of boxing. So I was going off logical. And even though that Bud Crawford did beat Canelo Alvarez, he did something that nobody has ever done in 100+ years in the sport of boxing. Become a three division undisputed world champion, jumping like 3 division up really, and beating the man. You know what I'm saying? So I was just basing off logic. So don't discredit every other prediction, because I predicted Conor Bennett beating Eubank. I predicted Bud Crawford beating Earl of True Spence. I predicted Teofimo Lopez to beat Vasily Lomachenko and John Cena. And a lot of you guys didn't think they were going to beat him. I predicted that Devin Haney's going to be Regis Pro Grace. I predicted that Devin Haney's going to beat Brian Norman Jr. and every other fight of Devin the Dream Haney. So what I'm saying is, if we look at the magnitude of every win of Devin Haney, this is not even top 5. Probably not even top 8. I even think Santiago is still a better boxer than even Brian Norman Jr. I believe that Saul Abdullah is better than Brian Norman Jr. So, this is a guy that's just in position politically wise. And the magnitude of the win is not more significant than any other of his wins or wins around, you know, within his contemporaries. Brian Norman Jr. never beat anybody for that world title. Brian Norman Jr. did not beat Earl Spence. Brian Norman Jr. did not beat Bud Crawford. Brian Norman Jr. didn't beat Keith Thurman, no Porter, or Ugas, or nothing like that. Even Mario Barrios beat a Ugas. Brian Norman Jr. is a product of fans that hated Devin Haney. Y'all analyzed this fight wrong because y'all hated Devin Haney too much, to the point where y'all got led astray by Brian Norman Sr. Shout out to Brian Norman Sr. Fatherhood is prominent in the sport of boxing. But you guys picked Brian because you guys just hated Devin Haney. That's it. And because of your hate, y'all went against logic. Y'all went against logic because Brian Norman Jr. is not at the level, no near the level of Devin the Dream Haney. It was an easy pick. But I understand the momentum. I understand, but the momentum was that he's knocked out Suka Laka Shiki out there in Japan. So people now got Devin Haney on the pound for pound list, in which I could put Devin Haney on the pound for pound list number 10. But arguably I could also not have him there and have David Benavidez there. And also I don't have to have him there and have Beterbiev there. So we're knowledgeable enough to know, even when you win a champion, who are you beating, right? It's almost like Boots Ennis became a champion, right? Got elevated. But he didn't feel like a champion until he beat Stanionis, who was a champion. But even Stanionis was not a high caliber, an elite fighter like the one that we're talking about. So you still got to prove yourself. Brian Norman Jr. had a lot of proving to do. As a matter of fact, I think Kid Austin got a better win than even a Brian Norman Jr. Keyshawn Davis got a better win than Brian Norman Jr. These guys did something. These guys beat somebody, former world champions. So the magnitude of Devin Haney's win, in my opinion, has been over-exaggerated. Now that we're humbling ourselves, now we took a day, and of course we're hardcore boxing fans, and we understand the hate, and the heavily criticism that Devin Haney was under. But we're basing the magnitude of that win based on narrative, based on the hate towards Devin Haney, based on the criticism of Devin Haney, but it's truly not based on the caliber fighter and who he truly beat. If we break it down on the caliber fighter that he beat, that the magnitude of a win is not this, oh my God, Devin, hey, oh my God. No, it's because we're going off Devin Haney's last performance, and that's what we're going off. That's it. That he was running, but he won every round. We're going off hype. And all I'm saying is, let's humble ourselves and let's speak truth now. Nobody was a Brian Norman Jr. fan. Nobody expected anything from Brian Norman Jr. When in the welterweight division, we was talking about Virgil versus Bud, Boots versus Bud, Virgil versus Spence, Virgil versus Boots versus Bud. We was talking about them, the next guys in the welterweight division. We never talked about Brian Norman Jr. We don't have no expectations of Brian Norman Jr. It was just hate. And just like other great fighters, they say, remember when Canelo Alvarez fought Sergey Kovalev, and they said that Canelo Alvarez beat the weakest of all champions. Brian Norman Jr. was not a champion. Brian Norman Jr. was a belt holder. That's the truth. No narrative, no cap, no feelings, just facts. Brian Norman Jr. is the most manufactured fighter, was the most manufactured fighter in the sport of boxing. Resume was trash. He ain't fight nobody. He got there politically wise and got in precision. That's it. And Devin Haney's a 3-division world champion. But how significant is that 3-division world champion? Still got to prove himself in the welterweight division, but ain't nobody really in the welterweight division, right? So hopefully Ryan Garcia does fight Mario Barrios, beat Mario Barrios, and we get the real unification bout and real fight that we all wanted to see. And shout out to Devin Haney for taking the fight, because let's be honest, Devin Haney could have fought a T.O., could have fought a Boots and things of that nature. So this is not on Devin, but this is on people creating this narrative to the point where it's just full of fake narratives. And now that you're humbling now everybody's humbling themselves, now you understand Brian Norman Jr. was a nobody. Devin Haney beat a nobody, but earned a significant accomplishment in becoming a 3-division world champion by the age of 26. Alright? It is what it is. Let me know what y'all think. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia in the summer of 2026. If Ryan Garcia, hopefully he beats Mario Barrios. We got on January 31st, we got Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez. I got T.O. beating Shakur. I think a lot of people, Shakur is the favorite, but I got Teofimo Lopez upsetting Shakur and humbling the boxing world for the 3rd time. But I think it's going to be a wonderful matchup. I think that matchup is really going to be the king of this generation and stuff like that. Really, I think no better win is T.O. beating Shakur or Shakur beating T.O. That will be the best win of this generation. Let me know what y'all think. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Love you, God bless, and on to the next.